Thank you, Rabbi Fahi. Thank you, everyone, for being here at a very important time in our history. Dare I say it, almost a biblical time for Am Yisrael and Klal Yisrael. This past year, we all know, has been an extremely challenging year. I stood here, my dear friends, just over a year ago at this podium, and I said that the year 5784 could either be a good year, but it's the potential to be an extremely challenging year. And the reason for that, my friends, was, and hear me well, I said because Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbat. Remember that? 2023. And with it comes a problem. Because we need 2 days of shofar to help us have a good decree for the rest of the year. But 1 day of shofar is missing. So what do we have instead? We have Shabbat. So we had 1 day shofar and 1 day Shabbat. However, my dear friends, most people are not keeping Shabbat, Rahman Islam. What percentage of our nation are keeping Shabbat, who treasure that very special day? It's a minority, unfortunately. And so the rabbis tell us that the year could be extremely challenging and painful, and on hindsight, we know that it was. But I'm standing here today to tell you, my dear friends, that this year is going to be different. Because we have a special zchut this year. This is not my prediction. This comes from the holy Rabbanim, our ancient sages. And they say the following. This is Rav Eliezer Ish Horowitz. And I read in his Sefer that when Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, usually we push off a day of ta'anit. We push off a day of fasting, a tzom, because the two don't jive. A sad day does not makabel, does not accept Shabbat, doesn't want it together with it. So it's nidcheh, like we saw with Tzom Gedalia. We push it off. And we do that with every fasting except Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, Shabbat says, I can take you. I can accept you because Yom Kippur is like Shabbat. Both are called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths. Check out this really important, amazing idea. And I want to keep this in your minds over Yom Kippur, then B'ezrat Hashem the rest of the year. The Gemara tells us that if the Jewish people keep 2 Shabbatot, this is the Gemara in Shabbat, Kuf Yud Chet. If the Jewish people keep 2 consecutive Shabbats, the Geula, the redemption will come and Mashiach will come. A very famous Gemara. I never understood it. Why do we need 2 Shabbats? If Shabbat is so important and so powerful, then 1 Shabbat should suffice if we're all able to keep it. That should bring us to Geula. I always wondered about this. And I read a few answers, but none satisfied me. One answer is, well, maybe the first one's a fluke. Second one, you mean properly. Maybe the first Shabbat is Shabbat of creation. Second Shabbat was actually Har Sinai. But I read something amazing. He says on a year that Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, you have 2 Shabbats. They're consecutive because they're matched one upon the other. And so when you have a year, when Shabbat falls Yom Kippur, you have potential, like it is 5785 B'ezrat Hashem, to be an absolute geula for all our people. And as I mentioned on Rosh Hashanah, we're going to say it again. Last year was Pei Dalet, Tavshin Pei Dalet, which is Pidyon, a ransom. That's what it means, a challenge. This year is Peh. Peh is to speak. Peh is a good thing. It's what separates us from the animals. So B'ezrat Hashem, this upcoming year, and this is the prediction we're going to give here tonight, we're going to try to live by, is that Hashem, in the zchut of more people keeping Shabbat, because there are going to be a lot of people keeping Yom Kippur, so we have a much higher chance of success when both come together. In the zchut of that, we're going to go to Pei Hey, this year B'ezrat Hashem, a time of Geula. As we know, Pesach is actually 2 words put together, say the Rabbanim. Pesach, the mouth speaks. Speaks of what? Thanks to Hashem for the Geula. Just like the first Pesach, the mouth speaks, gave us Geula, B'ezrat Hashem.